Hi everyone, I'm Barrie Silver and I'm with Channel 17 and Common Good Vermont. And I am joined in the studio today with some folks from NAMI Vermont, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And you're the Vermont statewide chapter, right? And so we'll go down the table, and I'm sitting next to Nick Martin, who's the program director. Next to Nick is Connie Stabler, who is the Family-to-Family Trainer and M.I.R teacher. You're going to have to explain that later.
Oh, yes, I will.
Okay. And then at the end of the table is Andrea Kolbe, who's the Connection Facilitator, SG Facilitator, and Peer Leadership Council Chair. And again, we'll talk more about your roles, but I think what we want to do is start with kind of an overview of NAMI and your mission and services and
all of that good stuff.
And all of
right?
that great stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
I've heard of the organization before, and as I was preparing for the show today, I went to your website and was just amazed at how comprehensive your services and programs are. So tell me more about all of that.
So NAMI Vermont started or was founded in 1983. And it was incorporated in 1984. So we've been in the state for a little over 30 years, and so we have a strong record of providing that service statewide. We're the independent chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So we're affiliated with NAMI National, but not financially. All of the money that we raise and all of the services that we provide are Vermont specific. And so that's why we're the independent chapter. We also provide all of our services and all of our support groups by volunteers. The majority of the work that's done in Vermont are done by volunteers. We have a small staff working behind the scenes, but like I said, the majority of the work is done by volunteers. We also have, in those programs, we offer the M.I.R, which is the Mental Illness and Recovery Workshop, the Family-to-Family course. We have the In Our Own Voice presentation. We have the provider presentation. And the two support groups that we offer are the Family Support Group and the Connection Peer Support Group.
So in terms of, it seems very audience-based in terms of the services that you provide. So you provide services for, you said providers, so that's medical providers, I'm assuming, and then family members.
And peers.
And peers as well. So it's very peer-based. That was the other thing that really became clear when I was looking at the website. And is that something that differentiates you from other maybe organizations that address mental health and mental illness?
Some organizations have a strong peer organization system or structure. Some don't. And so I think we pride ourselves on the fact that we do. We're one of the agencies that offers statewide services that has a strong peer representation from anywhere down in Bennington up through the Northeast Kingdom and everywhere in between. So we have a strong peer representation and involvement.
And that is because people who have personal experience with mental illness are the best, I mean, they really understand what the issues and challenges are? Can you talk? Okay.
They understand it because they've gone through it step by step. Some of them experienced the dark days and had years, sometimes decades of struggles. Some of them were lucky where they were diagnosed quickly and found the right medication quickly, but they still offer that lived experience, which is vital in the roles of volunteers to offer giving services back to others.
And your administrative headquarters are in Williston.
Correct.
So how do you provide services throughout the rest of the state?
Again, all of our volunteers are based statewide. So we have volunteers in every county of Vermont, and we offer services wherever we can, wherever we're invited, and we have regular services throughout the state as well.
Regular services?
Meaning regularly
ongoing?
scheduled.
Okay.
Right.
So let's talk about some of those services if you feel like we're ready to do that and kind of get into the specifics.
Sure.
do we want to move into talking about the family support group?
Yeah.
And so if you want to fill us in about how that works and the kind of benefits that people have seen maybe from being involved with a family support group.
Right now we have 10 family support groups in the state.
Wow.
We have 2 in Chittenden County and then 8 in the other areas of the state. So they are usually scheduled for about 90 minutes. They are offered by trained facilitators. Everybody who facilitates one of those groups is trained with statewide curriculum and goes through a graduation process to make sure that they're certified and ready to conduct a support group. And so those support groups are also free to attend. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to call ahead. You don't need to do anything like that. Just show up and receive those services. And it's very helpful for the people who attend the family support group because they might be looking for answers, for something. Somebody who might recognize a symptom or may experience something that they've experienced themselves in their loved one. And they don't know what to do, they don't know who to talk to, they don't know where to go. And so this is a great outlet to find some answers. And if they can't find the answers that they're looking for, at least somebody's there that can answer a few questions or offer support and have that relationship and build a rapport that shows other people are going through similar situations, if not the exact same situation.
Right. So what's your role, Connie? You're a family-to-family trainer. So is that a different program, or are you involved? Okay.
That's an education program. So we have the support groups, and then we have education programs that are also offered throughout the state. And I have been leading classes for, I think I've done it 8 times now. And I became a trainer, which you have to go to NAMI National and have a 3-day training there. And so then I can train others to lead the programs. And everyone needs to be certified, as they do to facilitate a support group, to lead the class. And the class, I love to talk about this program because it changed my life, and it is very often described as life-changing. It meets 1 evening a week for 12 weeks. It's a big commitment. It is free. All materials and instruction are free to the course participants, and it's designed for family members. So parents, siblings, adult children, spouses, and significant others of grandparents. We get aunts, uncles, and we encourage people to bring other family members who have a loved one that has a mental health condition. And it's structured to help these family members understand and be able to support their loved one while also maintaining their own well-being. Very tough, can be very hard, and we give some real skills. It's offered throughout the state, as I said, in spring and fall, usually. It is an evidence-based curriculum, which means it draws on scientific research, and it was developed by a psychologist and family member who lived in Vermont.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
So.
Joyce Berland. And so we were one of the first to test this program. So we have a long history with that. What we do in that is it's very broad. We talk about the major mental illnesses. We talk about treatment options, not just medications, but other treatment options. And we talk about the emotional trauma that these illnesses cause, not just for the person experiencing them, but for the family.
For the whole family.
It's trauma for everyone. And we also talk about the effects on the different family members. So we really like having a mixed group of siblings and adult children and all of that, and parents in there, so that we can share like what it is like for them. And that helps families understand, what's going on for everyone else, because everybody else might be on a totally different page. We do talk about developing a crisis plan and about the potential for recovery. And we talk about resources that are available to people. And we do problem solving. We teach people a technique for how to solve a problem they may have, because it's very hard to, figure that out sometimes when you've got so many problems. And we help people learn coping skills. And we also talk about discrimination, stigma, which is really concerning. And we talk about how to advocate for our loved ones, and also to leaders, state leaders and legislators. And we always allow a lot of time in each class for questions and discussion. So that's what that program is.
Wow. So once again, very, very comprehensive in terms of
It is.
the focus, the services that are provided, and the focus. I mean, the fact that you really focused on the day-to-day stuff, to a crisis plan, to thinking about recovery, and then even advocacy and stigma issues and how to address that.
Yeah, and it's not a support group, but people experience great support in that and get to know each other in a 12-week class. And so there is that aspect too, but we focus on the education.
Very cool. And I'm sorry I jumped ahead. I don't know if we want to go back to the support group, or did we?
Yeah, if we could, sure.
Okay. So, so we were just talking about the family-to-family class. So
Yes.
It's a 12-week program? Okay. So then we started talking with the family support group, and I jumped ahead. So let's, if we didn't, maybe we should just clarify again the difference between a support group, and certainly it sounds like someone could participate in a support group as well as the
absolutely.
class.
Oh, of course.
And they can have that layering of support and services.
Yes.
Right. So the educational component you would find in the family-to-family course or the class. The support aspect you would find in the support group.
Okay.
And so that's the difference. It doesn't have an educational format, even though you might find some answers. Somebody there might have an idea or suggestions that could help you find your way down your journey. But it's not an educational format. It's not a lecture. It's not a presentation in any way.
It's more informal
Yeah.
conversation, making those connections, and like you said, finding the similarities and that shared experience. That's probably really helpful for a family.
And I spoke briefly about the family support group, but we also offer the connection support group, which is for peers.
Oh, okay.
Andrea, would you want to talk about the connection group?
Yeah, that would be great. So Connections is a support group for people with mental health condition. There's various groups that meet throughout the state. They meet weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, depending on what part of the state you're living in and how much leaders there are, because we're all trained facilitators, and we will go through a 5-day training, and then we get a nice certificate afterwards that says that we're trained, and then we bring it back to our peers, and we have a meeting. The meetings are 90 minutes, and we support one another. We have discussion time, and it helps with reducing the stigma of mental illness, and people feel comfortable. If they've been newly diagnosed, they'll feel comfortable coming in and listening. They don't have to talk. They can just listen, and everyone can talk. It's pretty organized, actually. You go around the room first and you talk, and each person will talk for like 1 to 2 minutes. It's a 90-minute support group, and each person would talk for 1 to 2 minutes, depending on how many people you have there. And then if you don't want to talk, you just pass. And then after that, then we really go into the group work, where we'll just support one another in different ways. If somebody's maybe having a semi-crisis or something, then we'll go into some problem solving. The facilitators, we have 2 facilitators.
At each group?
Yes. One facilitator and a co-facilitator. And so we take turns. And so when it's your turn to facilitate, then we discuss sometimes problem solving could be as simple as, I don't know how to clean my house. And somebody might want help with learning how to clean their house, and coping skills. We talk about coping skills, and it's really a wonderful group, and it really helps to reduce the stigma of mental illness, and you know, it really keeps people involved, and it's just wonderful. It's really saved my life. I think it's been a wonderful program.
Nice, and you're actually proof that there's a statewide network, because you came all the way up. We're here in Burlington, Vermont, but you drove all the way up from Bennington, Vermont. So really covering the state in terms of your services.
Right.
As I was the first group of trained facilitators in the state of Vermont for the NAMI Connections group, so, and I have been a facilitator for this ever since, and I really enjoy it, and I feel a warm feeling when people come in and they need some assistance or advice, or you know, it's just nice to support others and help them and give them resources. We also have a whole resource table of the different resources that are available in your area, and different diagnosis manuals about if they want to read about diagnosis, like borderline personality disorder, or schizophrenia, or depression, bipolar
And then also,
disorder.
I guess if people are looking for medical resources or healthcare providers that they can reach out to, or
Yeah, or
other
even
providers.
Even Alcoholics Anonymous in the area, any kind of support groups in the area. The Turning Point that's there for recovery in our area. So it's a real good resource.
Yeah. So since we're talking about resources, let's make sure that people know where they should go to find out more about NAMI. So I mentioned your website, and I want to make sure I don't get the address wrong. So can you just say what the web address is?
NAMIVT.org.
NAMIVT.org,
Right.
so NAMIVT.org.
Correct.
Great. So,
Or they could call the offices at 802-876-7949.
okay.
And also this program is free for everyone to attend, so there is no cost. It's just support.
That's great. It sounds like a really fabulous resource. And again, very comprehensive in terms of really understanding what someone who may be suffering with mental health issues might be facing, because you've been there before. That's the nice thing about the peer-based nature.
Right.
So do we want to move on to talking about the Mental Illness and Recovery program?
Sure, very brief. This is a curriculum that NAMI Vermont has developed. So it's a homegrown curriculum, and it's a one-day program. It's usually offered on weekends, and it is free. This one is open not just to family members, but to peers, any community resident who wants to learn more about mental health issues. We've had mental health providers attend. And it covers similar topics to what's in the Family-to-Family, but as broader, toward a broader audience, and it's just a taste of what you get. And we do recommend that family members who come to this sign up for their next Family-to-Family class that's going to be in their area. So that's what that program is.
Okay.
And I can say that I've attended that program. They had it in Bennington, Vermont. And
Good, yeah, so we have it all over.
attended there.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm noticing is the difference between referring to mental illness and mental health. And obviously, you know, the I part of NAMI represents illness, but it sounds like when we've been talking, we're talking about mental health more often than
Yes, we
mental
are.
illness. Is
We
that
are.
part of stigma reduction, or?
Well, it's mental health is, something that, everybody can relate to, and so you don't have to feel like you have an illness. We're talking about your mental health. And, it touches so many people. I think, 1 in 5 people experience some sort of mental illness in their lifetime. And, the statistics for all of the illnesses is much bigger than you would think. And we have all that information there too.
And the support groups, they want to give hope
Right.
that, and so that there there is hope. You never give up hope, that there's always hope that you can recover or things can get better. So that, you know, and that answers your question about that.
Perfectly. Thank you so
And
much.
recovery is possible. That's,
Yeah.
you know, it's very possible, but, you know, you need support and treatment.
Yep. And to work on it.
And to keep working at it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. So how about some of the other projects? Do we want to talk about the provider presentation and
Sure.
the focus that you have on providers, as well as just, you know, the general public and families and the actual individuals that are dealing with mental health issues?
So the general public would, I think, benefit from the Mental Illness and Recovery Workshop. That's the one-day workshop Connie talked about. Provider is a different program. It's designed specifically for providers of behavioral health services and specifically mental health services. And so we've given presentations to the Howard Center in Burlington area, United Services down in Bennington, and I think Clara Martin Center in the Randolph area, and the other providers throughout the state. What it is specifically for those providers. There's two versions of it, a 15-hour workshop or a 14-hour seminar type. And so the curriculum is presented by a family member, by a peer, and a clinician. And so it has those three different perspectives, but they combine to, I guess, create a better presentation for it. And so they build on that. And they all have, the family member and clinician are either family members of a mental health individual, or the clinician could be a peer. We do have those as well. And so they use that experience also in the presentation. It's offered throughout the state again, and that one is typically offered through our volunteers by request.
Are there continuing education credits that are available?
They can be if requested.
It is extensive. I mean, 14 or 15 hours of training.
Right. 15 or 4 hours.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is offered by request, and we just wait for them to come in. We're doing one, the next one is scheduled in Burlington, and we're looking for the one after that. So
okay, so you heard it here. If you're looking for training, go to the website or give a call to NAMI Vermont.
Yep.
How about the In Our Own Voice program? And I know that there is information, there was a video, there are a couple of videos on the website, but there was one about the In Our Own Voice program, and so that's a national program, I'm assuming, that Vermont has adapted, or?
All of these are, except the Mental Illness Recovery Workshop. That's homegrown in Vermont. All of the others are offered nationwide. So the In Our Own Voice is relatively new to Vermont. It's only been around for about 2 years. And so it is very popular, I should say. It's been requested statewide, and it's a 90-minute presentation given by peers that talk about their own life experiences of dealing with their mental health condition. It's quite gripping. It's very candid. It offers the audience a opportunity to ask questions directly to the presenters, and there's a huge amount of education that can be gained just from a short presentation like that. They talk about what they've gone through, what helped them, and what their successes, hopes, and dreams are, and what they're working towards, why they got better. Because it's an important question to ask yourself if in the throes of being ill. Why do I want to be well? And so they highlight all of those, and reviews for all of them are excellent, to say the least. We rate all of our presentations and workshops, and actually all of our programs are rated very highly for people who attend. And so,
and are they all evidence-based? You talked about programs earlier that Or
Well, the
evidence-based?
Family-to-Family course is
Oh, it's 'cause it's a course, so that's
yes,
probably makes a
considered
difference.
evidence-based. Well, we had NAMI had research done on that, and that's been around for it's like the first signature program,
Yeah.
pretty much for NAMI across the nation. So that one is shown to improve the lives of people with mental illness whose family members attend it.
Okay. But anecdotally, it sounds like you're getting feedback that all
Rave
of these
reviews.
programs
Absolutely.
are really providing huge benefits to
Right.
the people that participate. So we only have about 3 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we get to everything that we need to cover here today. So
I could talk briefly about advocacy,
Okay.
because it's one of the three. It's one of the three parts of the NAMI Vermont mission.
Okay.
There's education, support, and advocacy, and we do a lot of advocacy. And there's a committee that meets and makes recommendations to the board. We put together an annual advocacy agenda, which we share with legislators, both federal and state, that talks about current issues that we're concerned about, that there might be legislation coming up on, or legislation we'd like to see, and the board approves that agenda. And then we have we co-sponsor with at least a dozen other mental health agencies in the state for a mental health advocacy day. And the next one coming up is on January 31st,
Oh, great. I'm glad you brought that
2018.
up. I saw that on the website
Yes,
as well.
and we talk to our legislators, they know we're coming, and we give testimony often at committees, and we do a little bit, so the committee also looks at providing education to legislators and to the general public. So, that's what our advocacy work includes.
Great.
Yeah.
And on that note of advocacy work, we have the Peer Leadership Council, which it's a national program, and they're working on trying to get the Peer Leadership Council throughout every state. And currently, Vermont's mission is to work on education, advocacy, and support, and that's what we do here in Vermont. And it doesn't cost any money to be a peer leader. You just can join the council and help out. And
Yeah. Sounds like be part of a whole network.
it's all on the conference call, so you don't even have to live in Burlington area, or you don't have to live in one specific area of Vermont. You can just call in and conference call for 1 hour, and it's really great.
Great. Well, good. Let's make sure that we let people know how they can get involved, because as you said,
Certainly.
it's essentially, primarily volunteer-run organization. All of these programs are possible
Exactly.
because of the volunteers that you have that are
We
making them
offer
happen.
training in all of our programs annually. So anybody who's interested in attending some of these trainings or becoming a member of the committees like advocacy or peer council can contact us. Visit our website, namivt.org, or you can call us at the office, 802-876-7949.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I think that is a good place to end, unless there's anything else that you want to make sure that people are aware of that we didn't get to.
I would just say that we have a membership, and it's very affordable, and we, really need to increase that, and would like to see more people be members of NAMI and receive information and updates on what's going on, and that's a very important part of our being able to do this, as well as a grant from the Department of Mental Health for some of our programs. So
You
got to
can
get
find
that in there.
the benefits of becoming a member on our website.
Yes, you can.
One
Peer
more website.
leadership.
All right, good.
Thank you for having us, Barrie.
Thank
Well,
you
for
for
We
having
having
appreciate the
us.
opportunity.
Thank you all for being here and for educating me about NAMI Vermont. I learned a tremendous amount, and I'm so glad to know that there's a resource like you in our state.